Good evening, folks. Nice to have you joining us again. It seems a very timely period to be doing healing meditation. I think, I don't know about others of you, but I've had some friends who've had their homes destroyed by the recent floods. Quite a few of them, unfortunately. And I imagine we've all been affected by the news in the Ukraine. And then that's on top of whatever's happening personally. So I think it's really timely that we can gather and join our forces together and draw on the energies of people who've got energy to spare and help boost those of you who are in need of some extra support and some healing energy at this particular time. And I think just to mention again that this benefit of getting together with like-minded people and how that can be really sustaining. I imagine quite a few of you know I've been involved in the Buddhist tradition, Tibetan Buddhism, for many years. And Buddhism is interesting because it's obviously serves as a religion for many people, but it's also a science and it's also a philosophy. So it's a mind science and a philosophical sort of construct that many people find helpful independently of the religious nature of it. And the thing that comes to mind as we're sort of meeting this month for our healing meditation is the Buddha talked about the need as ordinary human beings to have a safe place of refuge, to both retreat to draw strength from, and to feel safe within, and to use as a basis for following the spiritual path. And the refuge that he talked about is commonly known as the three jewels. And it's three things. And one of the things, something you might have noticed with Buddhism is it's very analytical. So there's three of this and four of that and six of the other. Everything's sort of very much been analysed and broken down into its elements. And so the three jewels that you can take refuge in as a Buddhist are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And I think it's just worth talking about this, not in a religious context as such, although we could easily do that, but in a general sense that the Buddha represents the spiritual teachings. And obviously the Buddha was a real life character. He was an ordinary man who trained his mind and became enlightened. But he then came to symbolize a whole group of teachings, which is known as Buddhism. So we take refuge in the fact that there is this body of teaching that can actually give us comfort, give us refuge, and give us direction. And that doesn't have to be through Buddhism, does it? I mean, that could be through Christianity, that could be through the Muslim tradition, it could be through the Jewish tradition, it could be through a secular tradition. It's what helps you to connect with the truth. Basically, the idea of the Dharma is that of the Buddha and the teachings is that it helps you to connect to the truth. So the Dharma is the actual teachings that the Buddha taught, the actual literal teachings. And then the Sangha is the third one. And that's the group of people who practice those teachings. And he gave each equal weight. He didn't say, one was more important than the other. He said each was equally important. And that's why I thought it was worth just touching on it, to emphasize the fact that there's this sense of gathering and joining forces and benefiting from the support we can gain from each other is so powerful, and it's actually necessary. And I must say that, I've been concerned, as I imagine many people have in the last couple of years, how that capacity we used to have to meet fairly easily in groups of people got so disrupted. And I'm really concerned for the young people, and I guess we're all hearing really disturbing stories of the level of mental distress and mental health issues that are coming up in younger people and older people, but particularly distressing in younger people who just really lost a couple of really formative years and are going to have to relearn really how to gather in groups and get the best out of that. We have had the advantage, I guess, during COVID that we were able to meet on Zoom. And, I really acknowledge the founders of Zoom and the people who work in it and make it possible, because I think it has made a really big contribution. And obviously we couldn't have a meeting like this if it wasn't for Zoom. In days gone by, and not too many days, too many years ago, the only way we would have met as a group would have been if you happened to live locally to, myself or Murray or Kathy or, one of the people who's teaching within Alleviate, or, with a local group. And, maybe you get together for a retreat now and then. But this opportunity to meet regularly like this and connect is really quite precious and quite special, and it's a tribute to the mind of the human being that it's even possible. But what I would also suggest to you is that as a tribute to our own minds, is that this mind of ours does have this ability to connect over space, and we're all in our different locations, and yet you really can, not in a new agey way, but a really genuine way, you can actually tune into each other through a exercise like we're doing this evening. And it really is possible for those of you who are feeling energetic and who do have that compassionate, kindly wish to want to help others, to be able to share some of that energy and put it out there. And for those of you who are at a point in your life where you need extra help and feel like an energy boost would be useful, you really can get a good sense of that. And so it's really helpful, I think, to just remind ourselves of this possibility, the fact that this is actually possible, and it is something we can do, because the more consciously and more deliberately we do this exercise, the more potent it will be. And for those of you who are giving of energy this evening, there's no doubt in the old maxim to give is to receive. And one of the delights of this exercise is that to actually give of your own energy, it's not, when we say your own energy, it's actually not that really. It's actually you're drawing on a bank of energy that's not like your own physical reserve, or even your own mental, emotional, your own mental or emotional reserve. You're actually drawing on that more essential nature of your mind, which is, in some traditions called that sort of godlike energy. In Buddhism, they call it the nature of mind, or the essence of the mind. And it's that aspect of the mind that transcends our normal thoughts and emotions. So this aspect's intended to actually draw from that reserve. It's if you do this exercise and you feel like it depletes you by giving out energy, then I'd really suggest you reconsider how you've been doing it, because if it's working properly, then actually for you to give energy will actually be energizing, because you're drawing on this big infinite reserve of energy, sort of filling your own being with it, and then actually radiating, spreading it, sharing it with people in need. So then for those of you who are receiving the energy, it's really about having that positive expectation that this is actually not only possible, but very doable. And that really all you need to do is be open to receiving it. But if you have that sense of energy coming into you and you have an expectation of receiving it, that just empowers it. There's no, I mean, we don't have to be shy about talking about the placebo response, because all the placebo response is using the mind in a way to produce a positive outcome in the health arena, but using it in a way that's basically through a sort of a trick. If a doctor tells you this is a pill that's going to treat your pain, and it's actually just a sugar-coated pill, we know for a fact that sort of placebo can actually have a big impact on people's pain. It's been shown over and over. And the thing about that is that's getting that positive placebo result through the agency of somebody who is basically doing it for you. Is providing that benefit for you by dint of their authority as a doctor, their clarity about this is really going to help, and actually convincing you and switching your mind on. And the point of that is that while that's useful, it just highlights the fact that you can do it yourself. And that when we do any of these mind-body exercises, it makes really good sense to remind yourself what you're aiming to do, that it's going to have a positive impact, and basically generate the conditions of the placebo response to give you an additional benefit on top of the actual technique or the process. Does that make sense? So when we start an exercise like this, it's really good to just remind yourself very, very strongly, actually, in your mind of what you're aiming to do. So if you're giving, what that involves, and if you're receiving, what that involves. And then once we start the exercise, to aim to do what you can to let go of the outcome. And that might seem a bit paradoxical. I've just said, really remind yourself of the purpose of what you're doing and build it up. But now I'm saying once you actually start the exercise, then what you aim to do is let go of the outcome. And the reason for that is just very simply that it works. By contrast, if you start an exercise like this and you spend 20 minutes worrying about whether you're doing it right, then it's pretty easy to imagine that it's probably just going to end up causing you more tension, more anxiety, more distress. So the aim is to enter into this exercise once we start it with a positive expectation without labouring the outcome. And I hope you can get a sense of that. It's like you have this positive expectation, and you know that part of what will help you to get a good result is actually letting go of the result. Can I say that again for you? Because it sort of seems paradoxical, but it's actually just common sense. So what we're saying is that we hold the intention, the positive expectation of getting a good outcome, but then to accomplish that, what we need to do is actually let go of the outcome while we're actually doing the practice. So it's sort of like you go into the practice with this mental inertia. Inertia in this sense means sort of like push behind you. Momentum might be a better word. With this sort of mental momentum that I'm expecting this to work really well, and I've got the confidence to know that what happens is the more I actually just concentrate on doing the exercise and let go of the outcome, the better it'll work. And then when you finish the exercise, then again, it's quite reasonable to pick up on the idea that that was really good, that felt really nice, and reinforce again for yourself that actually, that I felt some real benefit in that. Okay. So let's settle into this exercise, and if you need to adjust your body, just settle into the posture that you'd like to be in for the next 20 minutes or so. If you need to adjust your body, get your body settled. And you can certainly do this sort of exercise in any posture. But if all things are equal and you're sitting, then it's good to have your back just as straight as your body's comfortable. But if it works better for you to be lying down or to have your body in a particular posture, that's fine too. And let's begin by just connecting more particularly with our body. And for some of you, I can imagine your body's not all that comfortable at the moment. So in this sort of exercise, the aim is to let go of whatever difficulty that causes you. It might be frustration, could obviously be pain, discomfort. Might have some anxiety around, if it's like this today, what's it going to be tomorrow? Aim to do what you can to let go of thinking about your body and rather go into feeling it. So when you consider this, even if your body's uncomfortable, for some of us, our bodies are getting old. For some of us, our bodies aren't quite the shape we used to be, or if we're young, might like to be, whatever it is. We can get into all sorts of stories around our body. But for an exercise like this, aim to let go of all those thoughts and emotions and just actually connect with the feeling sense of your body. So what does your body actually feel like? And do what you can to let go of any judgment of that, or any commentary about whether it's good or bad, and certainly aim to avoid getting into any discussion in a mental sense around your body. But just being curious to notice what sensations are currently in your body. So you might like to almost like scan your attention through your body. And you might actually find that quite large areas of your body feel quite neutral. And maybe some particular areas feel somewhat different. And again, do what you can to avoid using a label like pain or whatever. And just go into the feeling. So if you have got an area that feels uncomfortable, if you have got an area that feels different, what actually makes it feel different? Is it like tight? Is it sharp? Is it heavy? Is it light? I mean, some areas your body might almost feel like there's a void, like a hole there. So we're going to get all sorts of different sensations in our body. And one of the things that can help us with healing and our well-being is to actually be comfortable with our own body and have a sense of comfort and ease in our own body. And to accomplish that, we need to actually go into the feeling sense of it. And we need to let go of the stories that either we might have around our body or other people try to tell us about our body, but actually just say, well, this is the body I've got. How does it feel at this particular point in time? And there's actually a lot of common sense in this too, because if you consider this, at the present moment, there's very little you can do to change the way your body's feeling. Maybe it'll change in the next 5 minutes. It's almost certain to change in the next hour. It's almost certain to change in the next day. But right now, in this particular moment, whatever sensations are in your body are the sensations that are in your body. So to be aware of those sensations, to actually be able to feel into your body, to recognize and acknowledge how your body is really feeling at this moment, actually is to be at ease with yourself and actually to be in the present moment. So this is a sort of practice you could do quite regularly if you haven't done it before. Getting in touch with your own body. And what you might notice is as you do this more thoroughly, as you really connect with your own body, very often there's just a generalized feeling of well-being with it. Even if there are some strong sensations, often it just seems, this sort of approach seems to lead to a general relaxation and a general sort of more lighter, easy feeling. But if that's not happening at the moment, try to stay with that feeling in the body, just as it is. And at the same time, have the feeling of the body, your body, being connected to either what you're sitting on or what you're lying upon. And maybe it's good just to expand that awareness a little, to think, well, if I'm on a chair or I'm on a bed or a couch, that's actually connected to the floor. That floor's connected down through this building I'm in to the ground. And I'm actually connected quite directly to a small patch of ground. But that patch of ground is actually, from your point of view, on the top of the earth, isn't it? Underneath that patch of ground is the whole planet. That little patch of ground that you're directly connected to through courtesy of your building you're in is actually connected to the whole planet. And it's like the whole planet is underneath you. And it's actually supporting the building, it's supporting the chair or the bed or the couch, and it's supporting your body. So have that sense of this, of being supported by this whole planet. And when we think about it, the planet's quite a big thing. You've actually got a lot of support underneath you. Maybe you can imagine it just sort of cradling you a little, supporting you. So as you settle into that, for those of you who are receiving this evening, just relax into that feeling of being supported and being open to what comes next. And for those who are actually sharing of their energy this evening. While you have the sense of the support of the planet underneath you, you can imagine above you is the sky. And for many of us, it's dark at the moment, but we know the sky's there. And many of us will be in buildings where maybe we can't even see the night sky or the day sky, depending on what time of day it is for you. But we know it's there. And it's like that sky actually represents the infinite expanse of energy and potential around us. And although it seems so much to do with empty space, we know that it provides so much for us. And in fact, we know that within that space is an infinite amount of energy. So we directly tune into that with energy from the sun. But modern physics is telling us there's heaps more energy than we know about. This like dark energy and dark matter, all this mysterious energy that's there. And very clearly, there's a huge amount of energy that's available to us. So for this evening, imagine as if you're drawing on that energy, as if it's in the sky above you, like a big infinite reservoir, like all of space. And that the energy there comes from being infinite in its scope and narrows down, almost like through a funnel, through the top of your head. So imagine it's pouring down, this energy is pouring down through a big funnel from the infinite expanse above you, coming down through your head, almost like your body then's like an empty vase. So your skin, the outline of your skin, the outline of your body is like an empty vase. And this energy is flowing in from this infinite expanse above you and just filling the whole body with this healing, revitalizing, cleansing energy. Really vibrant. So in your mind, perhaps you can imagine this as a bit like a hologram or some light sort of filled being. You can imagine your body as being filled with light, this luminous light, representing this energy that's flowing down from this infinite space above you. And sometimes as you do that, you might notice a feeling of warmth or a tingling flowing with it. And imagine it actually gathering around the region of your own heart. Really strong and vibrant. And then imagine as if they're in front of you. You might be sitting or standing, some other posture. Imagine as if the person in front of you that you know who's in need of a healing energy. Imagine this radiant energy moving like as a beam from your own heart and flowing out in this beam, a bit like a searchlight, to the heart of the person in need. And then you can imagine the light wrapping around, warming, strengthening the region of this person's heart and then flowing out through their body. And again, as if their body's a bit like a vase that has an outer skin, an outer shell, which is represented by their skin, the borders of their body. And it's filling with this radiant, vibrant light, shimmering. And in the process, it just automatically cleanses away anything that needs healing. It's like if you have a cave that's been in the dark for centuries, thousands of years. If somebody goes in with a light and turns the light on, instantly that dark is actually replaced by light. So as this light flows into the body of the person that you're sending this energy to, you can imagine if they need a boost in energy, if they have a particular issue that needs healing, you can imagine it actually transforming it. The dark just can't exist in the light. So generating and holding that sense of the light, and then imagine now as if they're in front of you, people in our group who are in need of more energy, specific healing, need a boost in a particular way. And if you feel to, you can even look on the chat and you can run down the people whose names have been listed there. You might know some of these people, but the mind's just extraordinary how it can connect. So sending out this healing energy and imagining the people who are connecting here together tonight on this Zoom meeting, all feeling a really strong sense of this energy coming to them, being shared. Vibrant, clear, light-filled energy. And again, maybe there's a warmth or a feeling of tingling that goes with that. But that notion of just relaxing into it, just allowing it, joining in with it. Feeling it all through the body, and the mind. And now we might like to expand our minds a little more and turn our thoughts to the people who are suffering in different parts of the world, people who've got their own personal health issues, whether they be physical or emotional, mental, spiritual. We can bring to mind particularly the people who've been involved and affected by the disastrous floods in New South Wales and Queensland of recent days. And the people too of the Ukraine who are in the process of living out a nightmare. And rather than feeling unduly overwhelmed by turning our thoughts to these people and the difficulties that they're facing, aiming to take comfort in being able to use our minds to some benefit. And perhaps to bear in mind too that as well as the people who are gathering together for this particular meeting, there are people all around the world who aspire to peace, justice, good health, and well-being. So we can have a sense of sharing this healing energy, this vibrant healing energy, with people all around the planet. It's hard to think of many people at all that don't have some suffering in their life. For many at the moment, the level of suffering is quite dramatic, and we hear about that in the news and perhaps through our personal connections. But as we're probably aware, most people have difficulty in their life. And so we can really make a strong wish that people find the inner peace that they're looking for. As we know, it's not always possible to control our external circumstances, but it's very common to be able to do a great deal to control our inner life. And part of the joy we have as a group is that we've been able to learn something of and practice something of meditation and other mind training exercises. And so as part of the wish we might hold, we could wish that other people do realise that they can actually learn how to take control of their own mind and influence their own inner state. And realise that it is possible to find an inner peace that is increasingly independent of our external circumstances, whether that be the environment, the people around us, what's going on in our own body, even what's going on in our own thoughts and emotions. There's a deeper inner peace that's accessible. And through meditation, we can make that connection and sustain it. So may more and more people find a way to generate their own inner peace. Now you might like just to come back to more of an awareness of your own body once again, maybe a deeper breath or two. I'd like to move your hands a little, your feet a little. And if you're really relaxed and comfortable and you just want to stay where you are, you're welcome, of course. Maybe you want a little stretch. So just to thank you both the givers and the receivers. And just before we finish up, a couple of things to say. One is some of you might read the blog I write, and I'm doing an Easter meditation retreat that's both in person in a limited number, but also online over Easter. And you can read about that on the blog. And Saurabh's got some useful information for us as well.
Thank you, Ian. And first of all, thank you for leading us for this and the previous Healing Circle practices. They've been quite profound. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a group meditation offering, as you know, a group of 3 meditation offering, and we're starting a session every month. So this month, Kathy Brown is holding a session. We do have a vacancy in the group, and so if that's something that appeals to you, please do get in for that. I'm also very pleased to say that someone has actually sponsored a few spots. So first come, first grab. So if you want a sponsored spot, which is all expenses paid, then please either reply to that email that we send out to invite you to the session, or just write into me, saurabh@alleviate.net, at my email. So either way, get in touch. First one that applies for it gets it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Saurabh. And I would just encourage you folks, if you feel like you need help with your meditation, the feedback we're getting from people who are joining in with this online mentoring is really exceptional. It seems to be really very helpful, as you could imagine. I guess it's like having one-on-one coaching online with how to start meditation if you've got friends who want to do that, or for those of you who are already on the way to really hone your practice and end up with it being more effective and more satisfying. So thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you again next Monday.